Today we're going to be talking with model, working model, multi-represented model, Chancellor. He's going to be joining us in a few short moments. Please tell me, how did you even get started modeling? Is this something you always wanted to do, or did you just like fall into it?
Not at all. So it was one of those, my story is a lot like other people's. As a guy, we're brought up to, play sports and stuff like that, right? You don't think about modeling or doing anything like that. So I asked Billy, and Billy, thankfully for me, he was really transparent, kind of told me how he got into the industry and all that kind of stuff. So, I became a sponge and, rest was history.
Awesome.
I directed my energy towards that.
How did you get signed with your agencies? Because I see you're signed with a few. So tell me the stories about how you got signed with them.
Never forget it. It was a week after my 21st birthday. I had submitted to what's now called Select Model Management Chicago, but they were called Chosen back then.
Oh.
So, I kind of submitted photos online, and the head booker, the head men's booker, he liked me enough to where he invited me in for an open call. So I skipped class, drove 3.5 hours to Chicago. Because that's the sacrifices we have to make sometimes as models, right?
You got to do it. This is what you want, so.
Absolutely. So I went to open call, and was fortunate enough he offered me a contract. But then it was February. I still had a lot of classes. I was still very astute. I want to put out my best work. So he had rescinded the contract until I have more availability. So that May, I resubmitted, and on the spot, he offered me a contract. So that was my first exclusive mother agency contract.
Chosen / across you. Like, how did you get to be signed with these different markets?
I would go out there from January through April during busy seasons, and I would get this great work. So when I would come back to the States at April, May, I just was signed to these different agencies. I didn't even, I didn't know, it was a surprise to me that I was signed with Hefner and then Next Miami and these different places. But I do believe it was because my bookers in South Africa, they pushed me out to these agencies, and they found interest.
All right. Okay. So your mother agency is really what got you connected to the other agencies.
I tell new models this all the time. It's the wiggle room and the freedom of having a non-exclusive agency, that's all well and good. But once you find that mother agency that's really going to walk you through, they're going to hold your hand, they're going to help you get developed, and they're going to show you the ins and outs of the business, there's no substitute for that. It negates a lot of headaches and just mistakes that you can make on your own.
Right. So tell me, how big is travel for you? Like, do you travel often as a model, and what has that been like for you in your experience?
If I had to pick like a favorite experience of traveling nationally or internationally, South Africa, like hands down. Just because, again, like I was saying, like the market out there is really, really wide open for people who are just getting into the game, or people who just want to go over there to build their book, build a new clientele base. Is tremendous. At the Look magazine, I mean, we flew out to the Namib Desert, so we flew 6 hours away from Cape Town. So we were in the Namib Desert in Namibia for 5 days. And the animals out there too, you had like zebras and oryx, and like it was just beautiful.
That's
I wish I could go.
Yeah, travel. Do you think as a model that it's necessary to niche down, to have a niche, especially when you're just starting, or not?
So I think it could be beneficial to figure out what your niche is when you're first getting into the game, because again, once you're good at something, you strengthen that which you know that you're good at, and then you can kind of branch off into other things. So to answer your question, bringing it back to the original models, I would say there's nothing wrong with being open to different niches, but definitely figure out what that niche is first. So become specialized in one niche, then feel like you've outgrown that, or there's nothing more that you can kind of take from that because you have it in your back pocket. Then you go into fashion, then you go into catalog, then you go into lifestyle, then you go into all these different niches that's available to you in the modeling industry.
Yeah, so I wanted to see if there was any advice that you have for posing, and if you as a male model have a specific pose that you like to use when you go to your shoots and do your shooting.
well, like La Tigra or Blue Steel and Zoolander.
Something.
Uh, with me, it's so on test shoots, I like to experiment. So I like to study other models. I like to see how they move. I like to myself just have music on, and then just do like the slight, just the slight subtle movements, like a dance. Like I feel like a lot of models, they get into it, and things are robotic looking. They feel like, oh, I have to hit this angle, I have to do this, but it comes across in the pictures as looking really, really stiff. It's supposed to be a slight dance, you're just flowing.
Yeah.
You talk with the photographer, the music going, so it's you can knock out 4 poses in like a second. They're just slight variations of movement. So I like to go there. I like to try out different things, right? So I like having a rapport with the photographers. Okay, man, like, does this work? Okay, like, how about if I put my hands here?
Yeah.
Like this, like what? Like, I like having that open line of communication. But if it's for a client, same thing. I'm asking the client what works, because I know that I must deliver a certain emotion or a certain movement to make the product look good.
Right.
Sometimes, they give me positive feedback. Sometimes they'll tell me, okay, well, that didn't work. I don't like how that looked, and I'm there to deliver for them.
Okay, but stick with that. It's going to get you that money shot. You just kind of flow as you go.
I flow as I go, but then I do go to my bag. I go to my bag of tricks.
Okay.
What works for me. What I mean. So side profile, like 3/4. Show jawline. Hands in pocket. I feel like modeling now. I feel like moving and dancing now.
Wait. Best Told Stories asking, as a male model, what is your overall end goal within this industry?
Well, I would say for the models who want something out of this industry, definitely have I'm not even going to say an exit strategy, but I think one of your previous interviewees, they had said have a transition plan, right? So if you're going into modeling, understand that it's finite, it's not infinite, so maybe you have like a window of time, or maybe things align in your life to where you're even able to do this for a certain amount of time. So smart models, I'm not even going to say it like that, but people who want more out of the industry, they'll find a way to parlay that into something else, whether that's, writing an ebook, or, starting, being a content creator. Going into the industry, start with the end in mind. That's what I would say.
Right.
So for myself, I would ideally want to go into consulting, or possibly be a booker, or open up my own agency someday. Really just to give back to models who are out here and they're having to kind of figure it out on their own.
Do you have any advice? What is the best advice that you can give a new model that's just starting out?
I would say, man, just have fun. At the end of the day, modeling, although it is a business, you do want to treat it as such. It's fun at the end of the day. Like, I always kind of have that perspective, that if I wasn't modeling, what else could I be doing? I could be, doing something that I don't want to do, but I know that modeling is something that it's fulfilling to me. I get to meet great people. I get to learn things about myself. So I'm always having fun with it. But then also with this, although it's a fun industry, it's an industry that requires work. It requires sacrifice. It requires for you to be a professional. I've been on jobs firsthand where there were models that weren't so professional, and that could have been a client that they had, booking them over and over and over again, but because they weren't professional, they dropped the ball, and they probably never work with that client again. So have fun. It's a fun industry, but definitely treat it like a business. Projects? No, I mean, well, you guys could, if you're a new model and you're just wanting tips of the trade, things like that. I do have a YouTube channel, like it's just underway, but I'm constantly putting up content, from a male model's perspective, but just a model's perspective in general. Or just CHANTS, the model.
Awesome.
Over on
Everybody,
YouTube.
after we're done with this live, make sure you go over to YouTube, follow and subscribe to Chance the Model's YouTube, and also make sure that you're following Model KEE. That's me. Subscribe to that YouTube channel as well, giving you great modeling tips and showing you how to present yourself properly on social media.